All right, a harsh assessment of the credit ratings agency Equifax and its behavior before and after that huge consumer data breach just released today by a Senate committee. That breach exposed Social Security numbers and more of nearly 150 million Americans who don't have a choice, by the way, about whether or not Equifax or any credit ratings agency has their data. Earlier today, the chief executive of Equifax answered questions about that breach and the report and what's been done since in a hearing before the Senate's Permanent Subcommittee on Investigations. Let's revisit some of the data breach details. This was 2017. Equifax, one of the nation's large consumer reporting agencies, reported that hackers were exposed to the personal data of 143 million Americans. This number, the original number, was lower, and it just kept on coming out that it was that much bigger. Hackers were able to collect names, addresses, birth dates, Social Security numbers, and driver's license numbers. Pretty much everything you'd need to apply for credit. Also testifying today, separately, the CEO of Marriott, which had its own breach to answer for. Back in November of 2018, last year, Marriott, the world's largest hotel chain, confirmed the company's reservation system had been hacked. That breach affected 383 million guests. Now, during the period of 4 years, those hackers were able to access guest names and addresses. That makes sense. Credit card numbers, phone numbers, and this one continues to puzzle me, passport information. Why Marriott was storing people's passport information is beyond me. But that was a much bigger breach than Equifax. The difference is, Stephanie, this one is incidental. This is a company that does something else.
Why beyond you? When you join things like that, they ask you for all sorts of information. To you, the passport one is just irrelevant. A hotel wouldn't need that information?
If a hotel needs your passport, then they need it when you're there. Right? Why do they need to store that information in their system?
Yes, because then you're like a Marriott. You're in sort of the Marriott
I'm
club.
That guy.
So when you go there, you never have to give them anything. They say, "Oh, well, Mr. Velshi, we have all of your information on record."
I was that guy who put everything in because it'd be easier.
And then you could walk in and be like, "You know me."
Here, give me the room. So that's the issue. Well, listen, joining us now is Democratic Senator Tom Carper. He's the ranking member of the Homeland Security and Governmental Affairs Permanent Subcommittee on Investigations. He was just questioning the Marriott and Equifax CEOs. And Senator, you've been thinking about this for a long time. I think you're into 12 or 13 years of worrying about data and how it gets used and how it gets leaked.
Well, I think I introduced my first bill about 12 years ago. I think one of the problems here, we have competing jurisdictions of federal agencies. We have competing jurisdictions of committees in the House and the Senate. I think today's hearing was a great reminder. This has been a huge problem. It's not going away, and we need to find a way to find common ground. Senator Portman and I are in agreement. Find common ground so we can actually get this done. There are 50 states. Almost every one of those states has their own legislation dealing with protection of sensitive data, dealing with information, dealing with investigation, dealing with notification. 50 different states. That's not good. We need one standard federal law that's rigorous and appropriate for these times.
Senator Harris made a comment earlier giving the idea that maybe some of this information, it sounded more on the Equifax side, could have been sold in the black market. Let's take a listen.
It was recently reported that none of the data stolen from Equifax in 2017 has been used in identity theft or other fraudulent activity, and that the stolen data has not been offered for sale on the dark web. Do those assertions remain true?
They do, Senator Harris. To date, we use a variety of outside experts as well as our own, like Marriott, really trying to understand where the data went, what it was used for. And our analysis is that there's been no evidence that the data has been sold or no evidence of increased identity theft as a result of Equifax data that was stolen in 2017.
But here's the thing. Equifax collects data of individuals, the data that you need to get mortgages, car loans. I mean, it's all kind of your sensitive info. Is your committee, or how is your committee working with these companies going forward to ensure this doesn't happen again?
Well, actually, it appears to me, at least, the hacks that we're concerned about, Equifax and later on Marriott, they were not done by criminal organizations looking to monetize this information and turn it into profit. The fact that it's been over a year, 2 years, that none of that has happened would suggest that this could be the Chinese, it could be the Iranians. And if you go back, this point not many people are picking up on, but if you go back to 2015, Barack Obama met with President Xi of China in Washington State in September of 2015. And he said, you guys have to cut this stuff out, and if you don't, you'll be sorry that you didn't. And June, July of 2015, same year, we agreed to the Iran deal. And the Iran deal, 5 nations, Iran, they're going to stop their nuclear development. And in return for that, we lift sanctions on them. Right on the heels of both of those developments, the incidence of hacks by Chinese-based agents, by Iranian-based agents dropped. Yeah. And it started picking up about 2 years ago. And there's something's going on here. And I think they're really interested in solving this. It's not enough that we just, the businesses themselves do a much better job, and they're doing a better job at Equifax. It's not just enough for we as consumers to have smarter cyber hygiene. It's not just enough for us to pass the kind of legislation I talked about. The other thing is we have to be able to get along with some of these countries, and including China, including Iran, and so that they have a dog in this fight too, and they will want to be less harmful and dangerous to our citizens.
Senator Carper, thanks very much for the work you're doing on this crucial topic. Senator Tom Carper of Delaware.
It's a complicated one. Washington Post technology and policy reporter and MSNBC tech contributor Tony Romm joins us now. Tony, let's dig into this because Equifax's CEO said the company's cybersecurity program was fully staffed and monitoring users' accounts. Take a listen.
The fact that Equifax suffered a data breach does not mean the company did not have appropriate data security program or that the company failed to take cybersecurity seriously. I understand that before the attack, the company's security program was well funded and staffed and leveraged strong administrative and technical safeguards.
So he basically said we were doing everything we possibly could and still this happened. That being the case, how can we prevent data breaches like this from happening going forward? You know, it's almost like Facebook saying, well, we did everything we thought we could do, but still.
But I don't even think that's true, though, Tony. Do you? I mean, it was pretty clear at the time they did something they shouldn't have done.
Yeah, you have to actually look at what happened at the hearing today, and there are a lot of lawmakers who actually think that Equifax didn't do nearly enough. They even produced a report backed by Democrats and Republicans that found a number of basic security concepts were disregarded at Equifax in the years before we saw the major hack that was announced in 2017. In one instance, they pointed to an audit done by Equifax itself that found 8,500 known vulnerabilities that hadn't been patched in a reasonable amount of time. So in the eyes of lawmakers, this was a culture at Equifax that sort of lent itself to the big vulnerability and the big data breach that we saw announced 2 years ago. But that being said, we have to give a company like Equifax and others a little bit of leeway here because the problem of defending against cyber attacks is so hard. It's a cat and mouse game. You invest and then the hackers follow up.
Yeah, except that I have no control over this, right? I've totally decided I'm not giving Marriott my passport information anymore. I don't know why they needed it. I don't know why I agreed to put it in there. I was in that hack.
But you were giving it. I was giving it.
Correct. We were giving it. I have no choices about Equifax. None whatsoever. In fact, all of their profitability comes from the fact that they deal in my information. So not only do I not have any choices in it, shouldn't I be getting some of this action? Shouldn't I be getting some money? Like, why would I cut them any slack whatsoever?
Yeah, this is what a lot of consumers said. This is what a lot of consumers said, though. We saw this outrage when the Equifax hack became public because of the fact that, you know, so many consumers didn't even know what Equifax did, much less that it had compiled these very intricate digital dossiers about them. And then they went online and they tried to freeze their credit reports, and they had a hard time doing that because of the procedures that Equifax put in place. And then behind the scenes, there's this huge data transfer that happens between companies that are data brokers, so forth, that's really led lawmakers to begin to question what kind of regulations are needed to stop that collection, to stop that sale, to give consumers more information. And this is where the debate gets bogged down. Lawmakers just haven't been able to adopt those privacy and security protections that folks like Senator Carper just a few minutes ago was talking about.
All right, Tony, thank you for joining us as always. Tony Romm. You don't have any choices.
You don't have any choices. And when people see things like this, it makes them angry at those companies and those CEOs. And they say, who's going to pay for this? It's complicated.
Hey, MSNBC fans, thanks for checking out our YouTube channel. Subscribe by clicking on that button down there and click on any of the videos here to watch the latest interviews and highlights. You can get more MSNBC for free every day with our newsletters. Just visit msnbc.com/newsletters to sign up now.